Hello, everyone, and welcome to VectoScalar Tech Talk Show. I'm your host, Vikas Jain. VectoScalar Tech Talk Show is an online live show on technology and digital transformation shared by senior tech leaders. VectoScalar is a technology pioneer serving large enterprises to startups to build enterprise software and mobile applications. In this episode, our guest speaker, Shubham Gupta, QA lead at VectoScalar, is going to cover Mastering Excellence, Enterprise QA Best Practices Unveiled. And just let me give you a quick introduction about Shubham Gupta. So he's having more than 5 years of corporate experience with extensive experience in planning and managing enterprise QA project. Welcome, Shubham, to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas. Thanks for inviting me here.
Okay, so Shubham, just to begin with, instead of starting with the typical technical talk, I got to
Yes.
know that you switched your profile from development to engineering to QA engineering. So let me know more about that. How did that happen?
Yes. So that was when I started my career in 2018. So initially, like all the college students, I was fond of doing the development and all. So in my first company, when I joined there, I started with the development. And when I about to do my first task, when I was doing my first task, so then I was just doing the dev testing of my own code. And there I found like so many issues in my own code only. So my manager was like again and again coming me and asking that, okay, like what makes you like so difficult to do a small task. So then I just told him that, okay, so I encountered so many issues. So he told me that, okay, just show me that sheet. So he was like quite surprised that, okay, how a dev can like encounter so many issues. So then he only suggested me to try doing the testing once. So then I sat with the QA team, and initially I encountered like two, three issues more than them. So like thinking of the scenarios and all, because like there is something called white box testing also, like where you know the code also and you know the end result also. So there I
Yeah.
encountered like more issues than them. So then I like showed my manager. I was quite happy, and he was more than happy than me. So he told me that, okay, you can try your switching your career to the QA. Then I like switched my career to the QA and started my journey.
Oh, that's so
Like it
interesting.
it happened, yeah. So means it happened in the initial phase only in my career.
Oh, that's why I'm saying it's so interesting. Probably in your childhood, you must be good at breaking things instead of building things.
Yeah, so like all my like managers and like all my developers were saying that, okay, you are fond of finding bugs in other codes.
That's interesting. So, in your journey of Q as a QA lead and managing so many QA projects, is there any unexpected project, anything which happened and which you like to share with our viewers?
Sure. So last year, like I was doing a testing for an e-commerce application that was a mobile and the web application. So there was a module which we have to test, and the as it was an e-commerce application, so the payment gateway was also included in that. So me and my team members like included all the like payment gateway scenarios and all. So I believe that some of the development team missed some of the scenarios, and our initial estimate was like 1 month to do the complete testing. And when we
Okay.
started testing, we encountered so many issues. Like, if I remember correctly, there were around 600 plus issues, including the payment and the security and the performance and all. So the initial estimates were so much like delayed that it went to around 4 to 5 months delayed. So like all the managers and all of our team were like surprised that, okay, how can the estimates go on so far? So
But
yeah,
I think that,
but and
yeah.
the yes. So but at the end result, like it was like they were quite happy because like if that issue, the payment gateways and all, if that issues were counted in the production environment, so that could lead to the loss of the company, maybe in the cost manner and all.
Yes, that makes sense because as QA lead, one first and foremost thing is the quality of the product. So it's
Right.
not anyways good to build a poor quality product. So even if it takes more time, I understand about the planning part, but definitely the quality is at most. Yes, good to hear
Right.
about that. So it's
Right.
an information for our viewer in case you have any question, and I'm sure you must be having questions from Shubham. So you can type in the chat box below, and I'll be taking those questions towards the end with that. So, Shubham, tell me about the robust QA strategies. What do you think? How to create a robust QA strategy to test an enterprise application?
Sure. So, in my belief, for crafting a robust QA strategy, so it is essential that the software products meet the high standards of the quality performance. For example, that all the QAs should know the business requirement, that they should know the BRS, which we call as the business requirement specification and the system requirement specifications before starting the or writing the test cases. So, in my belief, that it's the responsibility of the leads and the managers to align their team to understand all the business requirements before starting the planning. So once we understand the requirement, then we have to design the test cases. The test cases should be in a so much efficient manner, in a so much effective manner, that all the negative scenarios, and nowadays like we are in having the security issues to learn the applications, so we should like write all this security testing and all the negative cases and all the UI UX functionality cases. All the cases should be designed in such a manner that it should cover all the test coverage techniques. Yes, and then the we should also like what do I say? We should also use automation testing frameworks nowadays that are available in the market, which are like Catalan, Selenium, etc., and do the
Okay.
performance testing as well. Yeah.
Okay, so definitely creating a robust QA strategy is an ongoing journey, definitely. And in your response, you talked about that QAs should be aware about the business requirement specification, the BRS
Right.
document, the
Yes.
customer requirements. So, why do you think it is so important? Because I think not many companies I have not seen doing the same practice. But why do you think it is so important?
So it is important because when, as a QA lead or as a QA manager, so when we are like starting or analyzing any business requirement, so we have to know that before doing the test case development, we should know the complete system what we are going to build, and will it meet the customer satisfaction, or will it meet the customer needs or not. So for that we need to understand completely about the like system. So for that we need to understand that okay, the what the company or what the client is asking from us, right? So yes,
Okay, that makes sense. That unless the person who is doing the QA is not aware about the exact business requirement, so they might make a mistake or probably not do the full testing as required of the
yes,
application if they don't understand the business requirement better.
yes. So
Okay,
they may miss some of the scenarios. Like if I say that some of this functionality or maybe some of the negative scenarios. So for that, I guess the complete understanding means it is a saying that the QA should know more than the manager of the system, so that he can or she can like anyways direct to the manager. Okay, no, this will work in this manner only, and means of course they should know more than the devs.
wow, it's a higher goal to achieve. I would say that QA knowing more than the manager and even the developer, and I think it's a very ideal phase scenario if we can achieve that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving to my next question. So, how we can? You talked about importance of test automation in a robust QA strategies. So,
Yes.
tell me more about the robust. How we can leverage these test automation tools in enterprise QA environment.
Sure. So, as a growing software development industry, it is very essential to test our system end to end. And basically, as a manual tester, it is sometimes it becomes very like inefficient or very tricky task to test the same applications again and again. So, here comes the role of the automation testers and the automation testing tools that are available in the market. So, to effectively and to do the faster releases, basically. So there are some key points that we have to keep in mind. For example, we have to choose the right set of test automation tool or framework that are available in market. For example, the Selenium or any other tool that is available in the market. So then we have to like encounter all the coding standards and the quality, which is like to do the or write the automation test scripts, adhering to coding standards and incorporating the coding review. So like nowadays using the Python scripts, we can write the parallel and distributed testing frameworks also. So yes, and nowadays like CI/CD pipeline is also effective for like deploying the code to the servers and doing the testing from anywhere. So third-party tools are also available in the market, like BrowserSec, which provides us the mm, capability of running the test cases in parallel and from anywhere. Like nowadays, you can just simply click on your mobile application or from your web, you can run the test from anywhere in the world and get the test results report.
Okay, that's so interesting, and yes, that's true that the test automation framework reduces our time of manual testing, and especially when the
Right.
iterative testing is required, where we want to do the sanity testing and those type of scenarios.
Correct.
Okay, with
So
that, I
especially
would like to
automation. Yeah.
please go
Sorry,
ahead.
sorry. Please continue. So I was just saying, so like automation testing comes in the picture when we are have to do the repeated testing instead of the manual one. Like it is a one, if we say like it is a one-time effort, we write the complete script and we can run it anytime, anywhere, and for how long only.
Okay, that's so interesting. We have one question in the chat box from Saddam Hussein is asking, do you have any in-house tool for test case management?
So I have worked on the test cell that is basically not the in-house tool. So yes, VS have built a test case management tool that has named the test killer tool.
Okay, so
Yes.
can you
So we,
explain more about that tool, that how does it work and how is it different from other test case management tools?
Sure. So TestKiller is basically test case management tool only, where a user can come and add the project and start adding the, like he or she can basically the project manager can add the QAs, different QAs and the developers, and the QA can start adding the test cases and creating the test suites and the test runs and do the execution. It is very efficient because the type of reporting and the metrics it gives, it is like unbelievable. Means like when it was like developing phase, I was involved in that. So the reports which we have like getting are so much efficient that the managers don't have to like go to the tool and see that okay, how many test cases are passed, failed, and what are the results. So the reports itself justifies all the test execution results. And there is also functionality there which we can directly mail to the managers. For example, that my team, one of my QA team member, he just executes the results and give me the result over my email. So whether I'm on vacation or I'm busy in some other stuff and all, I will just get the mail and I can check anytime.
Okay, that's interesting. And I think one of the piece, because this test scaler software developed by VectoScalar Technologies only, uh, there is one
Yes.
component which you only have written, which is about that you can write the test case like a manual test case, and it is automatically converted into a auto test case automation scripts type of thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
would you like to
that
share more about it?
Sure. So that is an interesting part. So what we have done, so we have created a script where like nowadays, like all the manual testers want to like do the automation testing, but due to like lack of knowledge or something, or maybe lack of interest in the coding technologies, they are like not aware and also like they're not able to write the testing automation scripts. So what we do, we have just built a script where there is a UI where you can just write the manual test cases and it will automatically be converted into the automation test cases, and we can just simply run that.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because if a person is like writing a manual test case and that can automatically be converted into a automation, that seems like a good value add.
Yeah, so nowadays like using this, all the manual testers can say that yeah, we are automation testers also.
That's interesting. Okay, my next question is towards the collaboration between dev team and QA team, because they are like having the interface. Their collaboration is required, but in some cases we have seen that it creates a friction also because when the QA team is opening so many bugs and issues, sometimes
Right.
it creates a friction also between the dev and QA team. So tell me more about that collaboration and how we can make these two teams work together.
Yeah, so the collaboration between these two teams are like I will say the beneficial, especially for the managers, for the product managers, because it is a more difficult part for them. So, in my belief, that there should be an early involvement between all the teams, between the managers and the QAs and the developers, so that it will it will be like beneficial for all those three, because they will just gather all the requirements and the developers and the QAs will know that okay, this system has to be built in this manner. The when the client and the manager is explaining the system to the developers and QAs, if they are all involved, so they can give their insights also. They can give their inputs at that particular time only. That okay, like this system should be built in this manner. This should be built in this manner. So the developers will be having a set of mindset that okay, the QAs are going to test this in these scenarios. Like the QAs, like for example, that they're going to do the performance testing also. They are doing to do the web testing also, which is a part of security testing also. They are mainly focusing on the UI UX part also. So in that particular time, so it prevents the developers to like what do we say? They will not leave so many bugs for the QAs. If I say, it will be really difficult for the QAs if they have like fixed all the issues, or if they have done all the development in such a manner that it will be really hard for the QAs to encounter any issue.
Okay, that's interesting, and probably I would like to ask this question from the audience that especially if you are a developer, that when there is a critical build and nightly release is expected, and probably at that time only if QA is raising a bug, what is that one word that comes to your mind? That when QA comes to you, that okay, there is still a showstopper bug. What is that one word? Do type in the chat box and share what comes to your mind when you see a blocker bug before that release can't be done. Okay, so in continuation, uh, Shubham, you talked about the collaboration part, which is so essential. But in the QA strategy, you also talked about the importance of security testing. So could you
Right.
please share more details about that? How we can incorporate a good security testing in our enterprise environment?
Sure. So as I like mentioned earlier also, like I was involved in like e-commerce platforms and ad tech also, and moreover the banking applications also. So it is very necessary to keep in the security testing, right? Because like when if I say like monitored terms is included, so it is very crucial that we also take care of the security testing part. So like one should understand like why security testing is essential in enterprise environments, right? So the vulnerability scanning, the code analysis, the penetration testing are all involved in the security testing. Means these are all the types of security testing. There are also the security testing frameworks available in the market which a tester can use. So that I believe that the tester should start understanding the use and the basically the requirement of the security testing, because in later stage, if I say like there was an incident in I believe 2006 or something, that a plane was crashed because of the automation failure, like autopilot was failed and it wasn't tested, so many lives were like in threat. So to just to analyze that threat, the risk management, so security testing is more and more like comes into the picture. And also like we know that nowadays the hackers are hacking. If we see in the movies and in real life also that there was a ransomware past few years. So like that was this lack of the security testing only. So I believe that if there is a security testing, so this type of issues won't be coming.
Okay, that's interesting. And you talked about the importance of involving the QAs early. So, what do you think as a QA lead, if a QA lead is involved in the development process early? So, how do you perform better, and what are the additional things that you can test in that scenario?
So we like I said that the QA should be involved with the development team in the initial stage only, so that they should know that okay, what type of development the developers are going to do. Means, for example, that there is a thing called like white box testing, black box testing, and the gray box testing too. So I believe that black box testing is completely regarding the that okay, you don't know what have the developers have done, right? So you are just testing the UI that they're doing. The gray box testing comes into the picture when you know some of the basic of the code. For example, that okay, what DB changes they have done, what code they have done, so that like we were talking about the security testing. So we will be came to know that okay, we have to do the SQL injection? Do we have to do the VAP testing? Is it really required, or we can skip that part? Or maybe we have to focus more on the UI, or maybe focus more on the functionality side of the testing. And it is moreover beneficial for the developers too, because they will know that all the scenarios which we are going to test in the application, so that they
Okay.
can focus more while they are doing the dev testing.
Okay, that's great to know, and I'm sure viewers must be getting those insightful information from this tech talk, and I'm sure that you can share your experiences by sharing the emojis or comments, so that we'll get to know that what is your response. And in case you have any further questions, you can type in the chat box below, and I'll be taking those questions towards the end. So, in continuation, Shubham, it is very
Yes,
critical. We talked about the importance of automation testing, the security testing. We do performance testing. So many things are tested. But
yes,
how do we evaluate? Because there is a saying that when there is no plan, everything is on plan. And unless we are able to measure anything, we can't improve that thing. So definitely,
right.
we want to improve the quality, effectiveness of the QA plan that is created. So how do we actually measure the QA success, that whatever QA that has been performed, it was done in a proper manner?
Sure, Vikas. So I will say that one should understand that how to align the QA success metrics with the overall business objectives. For example, like I mentioned earlier, that the BRS, like we talked about earlier, that the business requirement specification, like once the complete QA cycle has done and it is ready to give to the client, so we should analyze, we should measure the QA success. Okay, that in the complete QA cycle, what we have like done, what all efforts we have like given. So it is very essential to like check that, okay, what are quality metrics, what are test coverage and completeness, that whether we have done the complete testness, whether we have done the complete test of this system which we call as, and how much automation was are effective, and understand that how to measure the effectiveness of the test automation results. So yes, and there in the end, I will say that the QA should have the release confidence that, okay, the system is 100% ready to deliver it to the client, and it won't be having any bugs that the client should encounter in its UAT, which we call as the user acceptance testing.
Okay, good to know that part. So after the QA success, we talked about many things. So finally, would you like to share some best QA practices based on your experience? That in your QA experience, what do you think that these are the 3 or 4 things which are the best QA practices that should be performed by any QA manager or lead?
Sure. So, like one point we already discussed, like the early involvement of the QA team with the development ones, which and the project managers, so that they should be actively participate in the requirement gathering and design discussions. And next, like I believe that they should have the clear requirements of the system to ensure that the project requirements are like clear to them and are well defined, and they should be able to test their complete application with the complete understanding. Next, they should be like do the test planning with their team leads or the managers and develop the basically the know the okay what type of testing they have to perform, how many testers and what all time will be required for that, and what all resources will be like encountered. Like I said that, okay, how many number of days or the number of months will be like requirement. So yes, so it's a lengthy process. So yeah, suppose that like if I say you invert, so that after that the test execution comes into phase. After that we have to give the test cycle closure and give the test reports to our managers and discuss all the things with them. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a kind of an exhaustive plan that is to be done. So Shubham, now I'm having so many questions in the chat box, so I'll be picking those questions. So we have a question from Mohammad Afzal Ashraf. So how a manual QA should focus on testing means what factor he or she should focus, especially a manual QA.
Okay, so for as a manual QA, I believe that the one should start focus on the UI part first, because the first thing that the client is the UI and the UX part, or like what he or she is saying is the actual result. Like the first thing that the QA should more focus in the UI part. After that, the functionality comes into the picture. That okay, like if I see you that okay, the UI is looking good and it's perfectly fine and it's responsive. Now the next thing is comes into the picture is the like responsiveness and the functionality. That okay, is it responsive? I mean that how it looks in the mobile format, how it looks in the tablet format, and the large screens and all. Next, the functionality part. Okay, now it is looking good. Is it working properly? So yeah, then the functionality part, and then the security testing, the performance testing comes into the picture.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm sure the business people who are listening to this program would be very happy when you talked about that. You showed the client focus that we have seen in so many demos to the client that first and foremost they pick the mistakes that are done at the UI level. So when you talked about that UI part should be tested first, I think that will make the customer happy that at least we are moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for answering that question. So let me take the next question, and which is this question is from Swarupam Kumar, and he's asking a very pertinent question, which is about role of artificial intelligence. As we are seeing that with Chat GPT and AI frameworks, so many tools are getting transferred into AI automation. So how AI affect automation testers in future?
So I will say that AI will only enhance our knowledge and will help us to do the testing. Like when we were in a phase past few years or doing the all the testing in the manual, like we were doing all the manual testing only. We were not having any automation tools and etc. So later on we came across like Selenium, Catalan, and other automation testing tools. So they only increase our efficiency only. So I believe that we should like keep ourselves up to date. Like we should also learn the AI, how to use the AI, like ChatGPT and all the other AI stuff that are available in the market to use them, and so that we can also increase our knowledge in the same, and to yes. test the more in a more effective manner, because AI will only help us to like do the testing more efficiently and more reliable. We can just rely on the AI, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there are some of those implementation which have been done in the test scaler tool developed by VectoScalar Technologies, where there is a AI component which will test that whether a test, if a test case is written, and if you are writing a very similar test cases, it can point out that probably a similar test case is already written, which is covering that kind of thing. So those are the some of the areas where you can write test case efficiently, and also one can do the exhaustive testing that especially when we are doing the code analysis, that how much code coverage is done. So those are some of the things which can be covered through AI. Definitely
Yes.
AI has so many application in the overall automation and in the QA development phase as well. We have
Right.
our next question from Amit, who is talking about the. We talked about key performance indicators. So, what key performance indicators and metrics do you track to measure software quality? So, what do you think? What are the
Uh,
most important ones?
Sure. So first, I believe the risk mitigation, because like it is very important for a QA to check the crucial risk and the risk mitigation measures, that like if all the scenarios are covered or not. Because if like all the scenario, like I mentioned earlier, like all the security and all the what do we say, the performance metrics are not checked in the initial phase only, it can lead to a huge uh, issue to the company or maybe to the product in the later stage when it goes live. Like we say that, okay, the product was working fine in the testing phase and in the UI phase, and when it goes live, the whole thing was break. Like if I give example of the Tesla, like the car was tested completely and all, and when the owner like threw a ball on the mirror, it got blocked, right? So yeah, I believe that means all the testing should be done in such an effective manner that, okay, when the product goes live, there should not be any issues in that.
Okay,
Like,
that's
yeah,
that's interesting. So, in the interest of time, I'll be taking the last question, and in case there is more, unless we have more question. So, Simple Setia is asking that: do you think the choice of testing tool impact the success of QA practices?
no, because when we start testing, like the first, like as an automation tester also, first I practice to write the manual test cases first. Means it is not like that, okay, we just start writing the automation test cases. No, it is not like that. And as a career start also, we only start doing the manual testing first, and then only we start doing the automation, then the AI comes into the picture. So like using the automation testing tools, it only helps us to like doing the testing in a very efficient manner, and doing like it only helps us to reduce the time, like our time of effort is reduced, like doing the automation testing and like relying on such tools that who can do the testing. Yeah, there are some tools available in the market which can like analyze the website and test them through. But yeah, I believe that as a tester, if I want to stay in the market and like improve myself daily on the daily basis, I will just learn the new things, and yes, instead of completely relying on them.
Okay, okay. Though when you talked about that, yes, it can reduce the time. So probably that can be one of the factor in the overall QA practice. So that's how it can impact positively when we are using the right tools, right?
Yeah, so like I said that if I say that, okay, I have 100 test cases, and I have if I say a regression test suite and I have 100 or maybe 1,000 test cases, if I have a large enterprise, right? So I have to test that on a daily basis, and I'm spending around like 6 to 7 hours of my complete day in that only. So I need one complete tester allocated to that particular task only. And if I spend around 1 month and prepare all the automation test cases for that, so they can be run like automatically on a daily basis. I don't need a specific person to test that all. I will just get the report and I will check that, okay, what all test cases are getting failed. And I will just, yeah, I will just share them with my manager, maybe the development team.
Okay,
So yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, okay. Thanks for answering that. We have another question coming from Aman Chada. Do you think that the test driven development help QAs?
Yes, so test-driven development helps you feel like we have the BTD frameworks and other frameworks available in the market. So where we can change the overall, like we can change the strategy of testing. The like if I say that, okay, let me take an example. Like
Yeah, sure.
there was this, like in the past only I was facing faced the similar issue. So
Okay.
there was a thing like I was testing an ESS tool. So there I have to test with different users, right? Like I was having around need to test 10 users, and I have to test like different modules there, like around 15 modules were there. So I have to test that daily on the daily basis. So I prepared a Selenium script and all. So the test driven development, where I created the JSON and all files. So using that, the different users were like logged in into the system automatically, and all the test cases were run automatically. And I executed, and I just got the result in that. So I don't have to do the manual intervention in the tool. So yeah,
Okay.
it definitely helps the QAs.
Okay. So when we are having that test driven development, so probably as you already talked about that it is important that we involve the QAs early. So definitely we are writing the test cases first and then the development is happening so that we are testing each and every and validating those things early in the phase and we can find
Yeah.
if there is anything which is breaking. Okay. Thanks for us answering that part. We have another question from Nikhil Agarwal that how can we automate some parts or modules of features so that we can reduce manual testing recurring efforts.
So for that, I believe that the we can just prepare a different suits or the different I say the test end for that particular modules. Like if I say that okay, means let's suppose that the login and registration is the first part in any of the application. Like we can't skip that part. But after that, we can just directly jump on that module. If there are no prerequisites, by prerequisites I mean that okay, like the login and registration is the first part, and maybe the sign up is the next part, or maybe the any of the other things, right? So if there are no prerequisites, we can just directly jump on that module by maybe the directly going through the URL or something, maybe, right? So we can just directly jump on that module and automate that particular part. So in my belief, we should automate that particular part only, which is like reoccurring, like Nikhil said that like we said that okay, there are hundred of number of test cases, right, in the earlier stage, which we have to test on the daily basis. So we can just keep that, and we can just do the write the automation testing framework so that we can just do the rest of the test cases manually. And for this 100 particular set of test suits, we can just do them using the automation framework.
Okay, makes sense. What's your message for like people who are aspiring to become a tester or QA or people who are already in QA? How they can upgrade themselves? How they can prepare themselves to become a better QA professional?
So, firstly, start thinking negatively. So, because as a tester, I guess that our attitude should be to break the things. Doesn't matter how, whether it is like breaking it, like breaking the UI, maybe breaking the functionality, or digging into the code. Means as a white box tester, I will just dig into the code and okay, I will just break the system. So, our first and like you said that okay, getting updated from the latest tools. So, I believe that we should all like explore the things, like explore the tools that are available in the market. Like I see that okay, like Selenium is getting updated day by day, and other tools like Catalan and TestRails himself itself is getting updated, like Raganox is getting updated itself like day to day. So we should like explore the things and explore different tools. Like JMeter is getting updated, like the GUIs have JMeter have so much evolved that now the we don't have to write the manual scripts in that. So earlier there was a phase where we have to write the scripts manually, but now the GUI has come into the picture where we don't have to write the scripts. And what the same way the VS is doing, like we don't have to write the scripts for the manual testers, for the automation testers. The manual testers are doing the job of the automation testers. Yeah.
Okay, that definitely answers, and I think there is a lot for not just QAs, everyone to keep learning new things, and it is very important because the technologies are changing very rapidly. So we must need to be keep upgrading ourselves. We have another question coming from Swarupam Kumar. So how do you ensure the security of test data, especially when it is contains sensitive or confidential information?
When we are like so that depends, like in case like it contains a sensitive or confidential information. So we have the our QA environments where only the QA, all the QAs and the leads and the managers and the developers are only doing the testing. So if we are testing there, like it is the replica of the production, like all the test data is like done, and it is like all our test data which we are testing, it is already approved by our managers. So yes, if the managers approve, then it is like fine, we can test that. And the QA environment access is only with the QA testers only. So it is like safe to like if we do the security testing and all the testing stuff there.
Okay, that's great. So I'm sure, in the interest of time, people have must have got so many beautiful insights, and now we need to close this session. So thanks, Shubham. Thanks for being on the show and sharing your critical experiences and insights about enterprise QA. Thanks again for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so thanks everyone for joining the VectoScalar Tech Talk show. I'm sure you must have been get benefited by our previous session along with session today. So just to give you more information about VectoScalar Tech Talk. So VectoScalar is a technology pioneer serving large enterprises to startups and helping their digital transformation through software, web, and mobile application. Established in 2012, the company today has more than 100 plus enterprise grade software engineers and serving big companies like Google, SimSim, Kickdrum, CoinSwitch, Telehunt, to name the few. In case you have some suggestion for a speaker, or you yourself think that you have something to add as a tech leader in this space, you can nominate yourself as a guest speaker in our future Tech Talk shows. And there is a form in the chat box below where you can find the description, the link to the speaker interest form where you can fill all that information. And in case you have any more thing, you can always type in the chat box. We are getting so many beautiful information and accolades from the people who are attending this session. So thank you very much, and I'm sure take care of yourself and keep learning, keep growing. Thanks for joining again.